Welcome to Woodward Wings, a little bit of a different looking show today. I am Justice Atawa and I am with Spencer Raxter, and we are here to hold it down for you on this Saturday morning, even though it's Wednesday morning. But we got a lot to talk about. We got free agency projections, possible avenues that the Red Wings could go, including we're going to talk about offer sheets and how that would look like, which Steve Yzerman talked about in his press conference. He is interested in going that route. On top of that, we're going to talk about Mitch Marner, we're going to talk about prospects, and we're going to talk about the NHL draft. So we got a lot for you. We're also going to have a very interesting show because we have a lot of video and we got a lot of graphics to show you how we were able to put this stuff in place. So let's dive right into it. Let's start with let's first of all let's talk about game 2 for the Grand Rapids Griffins, because I feel like that's important to get out of the way before we really dive into all this free agency stuff. So when it comes to game two for the Griffins, they came out so slow again and just continued to not be able to find their legs. On the positive end, ASP looked a lot better. He really looked comfortable. He was way better defensively. It was very good to see from him bouncing back that quickly. And everything that I was expecting to see from him, I saw. And that's where I'm at in terms of how I'm going to grade it, because I know it's going to be an adjustment. I know that it's going to take some time, but if he's showing what I want to see, then I have no reason to doubt what I think of him.
Yeah, and you knew the offense was always going to be there. You know the power play stuff was always going to be there. That stuff translates pretty easily, but him defending at a high level against these guys that are NHL level players, that are NHL size in the NHL rink are things that we would like to see him. Obviously the difference in ice size coming from Frölunda, he's got to get used to, but you want him to be physical, not back down against these bigger bodied, more mature players. So seeing him do that in game 2 is definitely a step in the right direction. And hopefully they get more games in this series so he can get more experience going up against the more physical and bigger bodies that he's going to be seeing in Toledo.
And that's where I
Grand Rapids.
really I really want them to at least win one of these games in Texas, because I don't think it's realistic to ask them to win the series at this point. I just think they're too far gone for that to be in the realm of possibilities, unfortunately. So when you get into it, I just want them to show life, and I want them to be able to give more games to ASP and MBN, because MBN also played a very fantastic game, goal and an assist. He was physical. He got in on the forecheck, got into the dirty areas, and what I really didn't realize when I was watching him in Sweden, because I didn't think that he would be able to find those open spaces that he was able to find in the bigger ice in Sweden, but he still finds those openings, and that's what I really wanted to see from him, and it gives me a lot of positive input for him, because I'm starting to think that he's going to get some NHL time next year, and I'm not even trying to be a slappy. It's just the style of play he plays with a physicality, and he kind of was out of not in the right situation in the Swedish league for the way he plays. He plays more like a American or a Canadian player who benefits from the smaller ice. And so I think that MBN has a very good shot at making a difference on the Red Wings roster next year. He showed great flash in that game too.
Yeah, I agree. And we talked about it, with Carter Mazer a little bit, the meat and potatoes guys, the playoff guys, the guys that you're going to need in there that'll give you some grind but can also score from the slot or when they're being set up by the playmakers we have. And obviously, it's only going to get better of him getting to a spot and getting the puck on his stick when you have guys like, I don't know, Danielson or Larkin or other guys like that setting opportunities up for him. If he gets Red Wings time next year, that's going to be something that we'll see his game take another step. But you remember you were doing the draft show for the Red Wings last year, and I called in when we drafted him talking about how much I love the kid because he's literally a Viking. Like, this is what you need when you're looking at trying to make deep playoff runs. Are forwards like him. He's going to go there. He's going to be physical. He's going to hit you. He'll fight somebody, and he's also got a rocket shot in the slot. So I love him. Next year might be a little too rich for my blood. I think they still want to see him get at least a season in Grand Rapids. Maybe he gets called up late in the
Yeah, I
season.
just think he's going to get the Edmondson treatment. I think he's
Yeah.
that type of prospect where it can make that transition more fluently than a smaller guy who is adjusted to skill. And I think that he will get. I'm not saying he's going to be a mainstay on the roster, but I mean,
Yeah.
if we need a guy in the
Somebody
power
goes down.
forward role, it will be him who comes up. It won't be anyone else.
Like maybe even the Lucas Raymond Mo Sider shit where somebody gets hurt in camp and he's forced to start the season with the team. Like we saw that. Obviously, it probably wouldn't be him that's forced to start the season with the team, but if some injuries go down, especially if they're trying to make the playoffs, this guy's going to be on the short list for guys you bring up because of the edge that he plays with. Like you said, the physicality, the size, that's already there. So obviously you got to make an adjustment when you get to the NHL, but that's something that he is not going to struggle with if he gets that NHL time is the physicality and the size of playing with these grown men in the NHL. It's just about him finding his spot and making sure he doesn't miss it. So yeah, he has a very translatable game to the NHL ranks, but we'll see what happens. I'd love to see some real time for him next year. I think he's going to be a stud going forward, and when this team is making deep playoff runs, he's going to be a very important forward for this team.
Yeah, I completely agree, and obviously we'll wait and see. It's going to be big to see how he does on Friday for Game 3. We'll cover that in our next episode.
Yeah, and they gotta fucking win. Like you gotta win. Like you said, at least one of these games in Dallas. You can't get swept, and that's I'm putting that on ASP, and I'm putting that on Nygaard. Like I know that they're the young bucks on this Grand Rapids team, and you look at Watson, you look at other guys that should be leading this team, but you are the studs. You are the kids. You are the 2 first-round picks of the last couple of years. Go up there. Go win a game in an opposing team's barn. You drop 2 at home. Go into Dallas. I want Nygaard to have a goal and an assist in the next game. I want ASP to have a goal from that point on the power play in that game. Show this team, show this fan base that you guys are ready to step up in controversy. You're in controversy now. You're down. You lost 2 at home. Go on the road. Go to Dallas. Take at least a game and don't get swept.
I completely agree. I think that will be big for them in terms of fighting adversity and seeing what their true colors are as prospects. And I think that's exactly right. You got to win one. If you get swept, then
It's for nothing. If you get swept, them coming up here playing 4 games. Oh, good thing we got to look at Sebastian Kosa's run in the playoffs in Grand Rapids. Like it's nothing. It gives you nothing for development. It gives you nothing for these guys going into next year. You can't get swept.
No, you cannot. And as we transition now back to the Red Wings and we talk about this upcoming free agent class, and I first want to talk about what offer sheets are so that everyone has a idea of what because they're very complicated and they are not very common in the NHL. I believe there's only 23 around done in NHL history. And recently the Blues had great success this year prying a defenseman away from Edmonton, which was critical for them down the stretch, where now it seems like it's more of a viable option. So how it works is depending on how much you pay the player, there's a table, and that dictates how much draft capital you have to give up to get the player. So to give up, and it goes 3rd round pick, 2nd round pick, 1st round pick, 1st and 3rd, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and so on and so forth, all the way to 4 first round picks. So the contract window that I'm looking at is players in between the $6 million and the $8 million threshold, and that would take in the first cap ceiling would be you would have to give up a 1st round pick and a 3rd round pick, and then if you exceed $6.85 million, you have to give up a 1st, 2nd, and a 3rd round pick. So, and nothing will exceed that, so there's no realm of possibility you'd have to be giving up 2 first round picks to sign any of these guys. They're just not worth that much money.
Yeah.
In that regard, that's what I'm going to show you first. I'm going to show you the offseason if we decide to go in a different direction than Mitch Marner. This is my offseason if we do not go with Mitch Marner. Because of the Toronto's cap restrictions, they are not going to be able to keep Nyes, Marner, or Tavares. And if you make Nyes choke on a contract, they're not going to be able to match it. So in this
7-2 isn't bad.
In this scenario, he's a 6'2" power forward who can play the wing. He would bring some good size and skill to that first line with Larkin and Raymond. You'd have to give up a first, second, and a third round pick for him in 2026. It would not be 2025.
Yeah.
You would sign back Patrick Kane to be on your third line. You would bring up Lombardi to play with newly signed Riley Smith, who is a career journeyman who is very good on the penalty kill, which is what I want. In this situation, you buy out Tarasenko at $1.5 million a year, saving $3.5 million over the next 2 years, and you get JT Compher still in the lineup on your fourth line with Mazur as your extra forward. On the defensive end, you bring up ASP to be your second line defenseman, and you sign his partner for the next 8 years, 27-year-old Ryan Lindgren, who in the Avalanche's Game 7 had a critical assist and had some great penalty kill minutes and is known as a penalty kill defender. These moves make you a deeper team, a better defensive team, a better 5-on-5 team. This would be a dream offseason if we do not get Mitch Marner.
Yeah, the first thing that stands out when I look at these names, when you look at Riley Smith and Nyes and Lindgren, is they're going to help on the penalty kill. And that's obviously what you need the most, is to fix that penalty kill, because it was one of the worst in the history of the NHL. Yeah, I like it. 4.9, $5 million might be a little much for Riley Smith, but I understand that you're gonna have to give him a nice little bump than he would look at if he's going to a legitimate Stanley Cup contender. And this is a guy who's played in Vegas for a while, so he knows, what to do in the playoffs. He knows how to handle himself when playoff hockey comes around. That's eventually what we're building towards. So, yeah, I like Nyes and how he fits on this team. You need some size, you need some physicality, but he can't just be a big dumb idiot who can't do anything. That's obviously not who he is. So, yeah, I like these moves, and I do like that I don't see Justin Hall on this roster.
Yes, he was also bought out. He was also bought out for $667,000 over the next 2 years, saving you $2.5 million, I believe, this year.
Yeah, I mean, these would be moves like – What did Stevie say at the trade deadline? We made the moves that we thought would best put us in the playoffs. I think these are some of the moves that would actually put you in the playoffs. Bringing in guys that play two ways, like Riley Smith and Nyes, they're going to play two ways. You got a couple two-way forwards. They're not just turncoats on defense. So you're going to need that Lombardi, Kopp, and Smith line. I actually like a lot. That you got two physical defensive forwards, and then you put the kid out there and let him just have the snipe show on the wing.
Let him cook.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, if you can't get Marner, that's 3 good contracts. You're putting a lot. You said 7 years for Lindgren. That's what you signed him to.
8.
8. That's a big commitment, but
it's a big commitment. But you save in the figure. And I think that as the salary cap rises and we're getting to a point where you're going to have to sign cornerstone players that are going to help you win a Stanley Cup, if you're able to bring in a really good defenseman that can be a cornerstone of your roster and a guy with playoff experience who plays the PK, I just think the value to the Red Wings for Ryan Lindgren is higher than where a lot of other teams will see. And I think that 6-7 was a pretty big contract, and when I was going through it, I originally had him at 6, but I feel like because of how the salary cap's going up, it's going to be a big contract. And even with signing this contract, it doesn't even hinder your future. The year after, you have over $30 million in cap space in 2026, so you still have the money to sign Casper to a big extension, Edvinsson do a big extension, and still do other things as well. That's not just money that's going to be completely tied up in them. So I really, really like this if we're not going with the Marner.
Yeah, I don't know. I like these moves. I do. I like these signings, but I feel like it's just Mitch Marner or bust for me. Like,
yeah, well, let me tickle your fancy. How about that?
No.
All right, here we go. This one's a more in-depth one because it shows all the buyouts. So you buy out Hall, Tarasenko, and Gustafsson, and you can see what their payments are for the next 2 years, which that's fine. You really have a ton of cap space in 2026 regardless.
Yeah,
Like,
I
it
would
really
eat those
doesn't
in a
matter.
heartbeat.
Trade JT Confer with a 4th-round pick. Honestly, it doesn't matter what you use to trade JT Confer with. It's going to be anywhere between a 2nd and a 4th to get rid of him. But him not being on the cap, or Tarasenko not being on the cap, is pretty big to building this team. So here you go. You got Mitch Marner at $13.5 million. I think that that's where he's going to be. I think that they're just going to take the Rantanen deal and they're just going to run with it. If they don't, he might make 14. But
How about Rantanen though?
I mean, he's been playing out of his mind.
Monster, dude.
Yeah, I told my Stars friend, but when he got traded from the Avs to Carolina, that was a good move for the Avs, and then he got traded to Dallas, and I was like, damn, you guys just made the fleece of the century. I don't care what this does to affect the Avs, but I always thought the Avs made the right move, but they obviously did not. Rantanen is a playoff player. But back on track, we got Mitch Marner, 8 years, $13.5 million. You re-signed Soda at 1.2, 1.3 for Johansson, and 1 year, 3.5 for Kane. You'll obviously have some incentives in there, and then 1.75 for Riley Smith. And this would be the lineup that is, if you're going to score a ton of goals, and you're still questioning if the PK is going to be up to par, in my opinion. And
you're asking, I think you're asking for a huge step up out of Carter Mazur on that PK.
No doubt.
When you look at this lineup, you got Kopp, you got Smith, and Rasmussen, but who knows if Rasmussen could stay healthy for a whole season. You're going to need Carter Mazur to be a big guy on that that penalty kill when you look at this lineup. And that's a risk I'm willing to take if you're signing fucking Mitch Marner. Like, if you're signing, you can afford to have a less than great penalty kill if you have Mitch Marner on your first line. So I love this personally. I love that the numbers work. And I love that you got rid of Hall, Tarasenko, and Gustafsson. And this would be by far the best offseason that Steve Yzerman could do for this team. You're getting rid of Hall, Tarasenko, and Gustafsson. You're bringing in Marner, Lidgren, and Smith. Those are 3 guys that are going to help your team astronomically. This is a little – I know this is us shooting for the stars and dream, but, like, this is what you got to do. It doesn't have to be all 3 of those guys. I think you have to get Mitch Marner, though. I don't want to be Carolina. I don't want to be one of those things. Oh, look at how deep their team is. They got so many good pieces. They go 4 lines deep. That doesn't matter when you get to the playoffs. You need a dude. You need a guy. You need a Mikko Rantanen that's going to go give you 6 goals in 2 games. You need a guy that's going to go out there and score for you. And Mitch Marner is that dude. He's sitting there. You got the money. Fucking do it. I don't care. Oh, he chokes in the playoffs. Okay. He gives you 50 goals on the season. Like,
he's not choking right now.
Huh?
He's not choking right now.
He's not choking right now. Yeah, that might drive his price up a little bit, but you got to do it. We need a superstar. We don't have nobody in our system, except for maybe ASP, but obviously different position, project to be what Mitch Marner. You don't have that guy down the way, and it's hard to find. Mitch Marners don't grow on trees, but you got the money. He's out there. You gotta force it. I'm sorry. I'm at that point.
I'm with you. And you know what you can't force is having a number 1 goalie. And that's something that we've had a conversation about with Kosa, and the fact that he doesn't seem like he's going to be ready next year. So at what point, when Yzerman was saying we might bridge again, are we bridging to Augustine? And so this is no Marner, but we're bridging to Augustine.
Oh
boy, yeah, you were seeing that right. They're not gonna like that. Trades galore in this one. You are trading Sebastian Kosa, Peter Mrazek, the 2025 second-round pick for Jordan Binnington. 2 years, $6 million, not a terrible contract, and the perfect amount of time to bridge to Augustine. You sign Matthew Nyes for $6 million. And you give up a first and a third-round pick in compensation to the Toronto Maple Leafs. You trade JT Compher for future considerations. If you need more money to pay Nyes, you buy out Vladimir Tarasenko, and you pay him. You can pay him $2 more million at that point, which will make him be able to Take that. Oh, actually, right now I have him at 7.2. It's just not updated in the trade graphics. So actually, you don't even have to buy out Vladimir Tarasenko. So
We can
this,
do it anyway.
yes. So this is, if we're not getting Marner, we're upgrading everything else to the absolute max. We are getting a better goalie. We are improving the defense with Lindgren. We are improving the PK with Smith and Lindgren. We are keeping Kane to be able to produce goals, and you're adding Matthew Nyes to bring some bang into the top 6.
Yeah, this is. I like this a lot. If it isn't Mitch Marner, this would probably be the route I want them to go in. Red Wings fans, before you get in the chat, give up on Kosa. What are you guys doing? Okay. If you don't want to give up on Kosa, if you want to if you don't want to make a trade for Jordan Binnington, who would put you in the playoffs right now? I don't want to hear you guys complain if the Red Wings don't make the playoffs next year.
100%.
You can't have it both ways.
You can't
need
have it
a
both
number
ways.
one goaltender, and the most important position in any sport is the goaltender in hockey. You need a number one goaltender. Jordan Binnington is a number one. I think the vast majority of Red Wings fans believe that Trey Augustine is going to be a number one. I think that thought process on Kosa is wavering, if not completely gone. So to get rid of him, yeah, it would be a bold move. Yeah, he's only 22, but Augustine's right behind him.
Yeah.
You can't wait on both of these guys and then pay them both $7 million a year when they're in their prime. If you could get Binnington, I say you do it, because this team makes the playoffs. This team right here makes the playoffs, I think, pretty much easily. So if you want to be a playoff team, if you want to be that team that's going to make that next jump, this is how you do it. You can't have it both ways, Red Wings fans.
No, you
can't
cannot
keep Kosa and say we got to keep waiting for him while we need a goaltender one to make the playoffs. That's what you're going to have to give up. I love it. I think it's great. Obviously, Binnington's under fire right now. Do they move on from him? What's going on? This is a guy who has consistently shown he makes the big save, the big stop, and
40-plus saves in that Game 7 game.
Yeah.
I know it gets erased by the 2 minutes and losing an OT, but, still, that's an insane performance for a Game 7. I Jordan Binnington, I agree, makes this team a playoff contender immediately, and a possibility where you could win a round. You can win a round with this roster. I don't doubt that. So the next ones are kind of just slight tweaks of the Marner or the Nyes situation. So let's just quickly run through them so that you can just take a gander at them. So this is no Tarasenko. This is, you get rid of Tarasenko and Gustafsson and Hall. You sign Riley Smith, Marner, and Kane and Lindgren, and just Tarasenko's not there. That's the only difference.
I love it. Sidebar. I'm in love with that fourth line of Mazur, Rasmussen, Soderblom. I love that fourth line. If that is how things work out, I would be so happy to watch that line play.
And then I had to get a backup plan in case you can't sign Riley Smith, and it's keep JT Compher.
Yeah.
And roll out a lineup of that. It's not even remotely close to my favorite one of these, but if it comes to it, it's not awful.
Do you think Marner will take under 14?
I think he's gonna. I don't know. Either way, in all these projections, it has the cap space to be able to get him to 14. All these have at least $500 million in cap space to get him to 14, if that's what I can't see a world where he gets over 14. I think a lot of teams are going to come in with that 13-5 number, and then I think a few teams like the Canadians and the Red Wings come in.
The Red Wings should
14.
put their dick on the table and say, here's 14-5. Come be our guy.
I think that's in the realm of possibility. I think that we're getting to a point where even Yzerman is ready to hit the button, and I think that his press conference indicated that. Last one. This is not, you're not going to like this one's keeping Tarasenko on the third line. It still has your fourth line you like, but it has Tarasenko, Kopp, and Lombardi on that third line.
I do not want to poison Lombardi.
This is the worst possible scenario where you still get Marner, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. I just hate Tarasenko so much. He's so bad.
But yeah,
And
I think Tarasenko the buyout is way too easy and saves them way too much money for them not to exercise it, in my opinion. Because every time I was doing I literally spent 5 hours doing this and looking up contracts and trying to project people's contracts based off players that are in the similar vicinities, and this is in every option, buying out Tarasenko, Gustafsson, or Hall, all of them, none of them affect 2026's cap space. You still have some of the most cap space when it comes to 2026. So no matter what you do in this offseason, I think it's so critical you just pay whatever it takes to get Mitch Marner. And that's because if you pay whatever it takes to get Mitch Marner, you are putting yourself in a position where in the next offseason where you have a ton of cap space, you can then fill out the rest of your depth that you need to make sure you have the bottom six you need, and then fill out the bottom of your decor if you need to as well. If Johansson or whoever isn't pulling their weight, or Sherratt, well, you're going to have to replace Sherratt, but that's $4 million that comes off the books. You're going to be able to replace him for a similar contract. So I think that the best path is to make sure you secure some high-level talent in this offseason, whether that's Marner. Hopefully, if it's not Marner, I'm instantly pivoting to Nyes. I'm not even going to talk about a possible Ehlers or that's not what we're trying to add to this team. If I'm not adding an absolute stud, I'm adding someone who I know can grow into a stud, and that's a 22-year-old Matthew Nyes who is having a great season. And if you put him with the same support that similar support, I'm not going to say it's the same, but you put him with similar support in Detroit, I don't think that his numbers will dip significantly, losing Marner and Matthews off his line.
yeah, if you are, like you said, replacing or you're losing on Mitch Marner, who is obviously he's the number one prize for anybody. Nyes is a perfect replacement because he's not Mitch Marner, but he's 6'3", 215 pounds. Put him on that fucking line and let him move some people around. It's the fit that he would be perfect for. I think my two musts for the Red Wings offseason, and I hate to put it like this, but if you don't get Mitch Marner, it's a failure of an offseason for me. Like, he is there. You have the money for it. You need a guy. Stevie has pretty much come out and told us, we need a fucking guy. So you go get him no matter what it takes. You have to. If you want to win Stanley Cups, you need a guy like that. And
I
then
completely agree.
Tarasenko, I wouldn't say is a complete failure if they don't buy him out. I know Stevie likes him. They want to get more out of him, whatever. Justin Hall. If you don't buy out Justin Hall, you're not serious.
Yeah, shame on you, honestly. I'm with you. I think that's inexcusable, especially because his cap hit is nothing. I think it's worth it to get him out of here and buy him.
But I'm all in on Mitch Marner because, how often does a guy like that even hit free agency?
Not
let
often.
alone you have the money to do it.
Yeah,
and it's exactly what you have. With the young guys you have, with the team you have right now, you have such good depth that if you add Mitch Marner to be that piece that takes you over the top, I think if you add Mitch Marner to this team, you're winning a series in the playoffs. You're not just making the playoffs, you'll win a playoff series because the depth you have behind him. And then Lucas Raymond, that takes so much pressure off of him. He doesn't have to be the superstar on this team because you have Mitch Marner. Same with Dylan Larkin. He doesn't have to be that point and a half guy a game because you have Mitch Marner on that team. And that allows those guys, I don't want to say take a step back, but to flow into their natural role of what they see them, of what we see them as and what they are right now. Obviously Lucas Raymond is still extremely young and he could grow into superstardom, but right now he is a good number two on a playoff team, and that's exactly what he'd be if you had Mitch Marner.
I agree, and I think that we are in lockstep on what we expect from Steve Yzerman this offseason and improving this team through every facet that we need, in the depth, the 5-on-5, the PK, and then possibly in the goaltending as well. But let's talk about some prospects, because we got some video here. We got some guys that we're looking at that we are excited for if they do end up drafting and they don't end up trading the pick. Because the issue with trading the pick for me is that there's going to be a lot of teams who are looking to do that. There's not a lot of teams who are bottoming out, and due to that fact, I question whether or not you're going to be able to get it done and get rid of players that you're not willing to give up, because the Canadians are in the same boat as you, the Sabres are in the same boat as you. All of them are just trying to get better and make the playoffs. So I think that to draft here would probably be the best thing for us. Personally, I believe that, because I think that you can do everything you need to do in free agency, and if you don't, then you got the next year with a bunch of cap space, and you just do what you can, to improve the team. And if no trades materialize, but if a DeBrincat trade materializes again, like there have been rumors for Kyle Connor around, Philip Forsberg, who, if Philip Forsberg came available, I would love that. The issue is I don't know how much it's going to cost. It's going to cost a lot to go move for a guy like that. He's better than a DeBrincat. He plays center. He has won a Stanley Cup. That's going to be a tough get. I'm not interested in Kyle Connor. I do not like Kyle Connor. He disappears in the playoffs. He's a step down from Mitch Marner easily, and he's not a dude. And so I don't even want to explore that, because you're going to have to give up assets for that, and I'd rather keep the assets.
There's one guy that if the trade is there, if they're talking about it, I would be willing to give up a lot to get him, and that's if Boston pulls the plug and they're like, "Hey, Pasta's up for sale."
I think that's the only person that I'm willing to give up the farm for. I agree.
I agree.
But let's get into it. We got Landon Linkovich right here. You sent him to me first. I hadn't even started my deep dive into prospects yet, so this was actually the first guy I checked out because of Spetty's recommendation, and I was immediately infatuated by his game. Let me throw it up here. He is number 17 right there. He's got this great combination of size and speed. He's got a rocket shot. He's also got some great vision. You're going to see, these are his draft year highlights. Shout out to Flu XCC.
Turn the volume down on that video.
Scores.
All right, I got the volume down in the video now. My bad. Shout out to Flu XCC for the video on his YouTube channel. Go check him out. He's got lots of videos of all the prospects. So you can see, though, I mean, the size, the speed, he's physical. He's got good puck skills when he's picking it up in the open ice. I mean, Spenny, talk about your guy.
Yeah, he's 6'4", almost 200 pounds. This is a guy that he is going to be able to put a lot of size on this frame. And look at that. At 6'4", to have a shot like that and the ability to skate and handle the puck in open ice, man, he is somebody that has insane potential. And I think that Red Wings fans are going to get a little mad when you bring him up, because although he is 6'4", he doesn't play like he's 6'4". He plays like more of a finesse guy because he has the ability. He's got the skating ability and the obviously the snipe to be that kind of finesse player. But I think once he gets into the NHL, once he gets into more training regimen, he's going to put on 10, 20 pounds. Then he's going to be walking around 6'4", 210. And just having that in your top six, which is what he projects to be, with that kind, look at that shot, dude. He's painting corners at 6'4". These guy
have no chance.
No. And he's got aura. Come on.
Exactly.
You doing the stick holster?
Yeah, so, I mean, this is a guy I would be extremely excited about. Think about a line of MBN and him just holding it down with someone like Marco Kasper in between them, who can really get in the corners as well and be a transitional star in terms of getting him out of the defensive zone. I think this is a guy that I would be very excited about if the Wings drafted him. And after, I think, an offseason of putting on, 15 or so pounds, I think he is on a track where he's more of the NHL ready guys in the draft, which is something that I was wanting to see when we were talking about guys in the draft.
And this is, I know I've talked to you with it or about it off of air, but I don't know if I've said it on air yet. But I know that the Swede, they love the Swedes. Obviously, they got all the connections with Lidstrom and all those guys that are doing great scouting in Sweden. I don't want any more Swedish guys. I want a big North American forward, whether it be an American kid or a Canadian kid like Linda. He's from British Columbia. Put him out. He's 6'4". Put him out there. I want a big North American forward. I don't want any more Swedish guys or a Finnish guy. No, give me a big asshole from North America. And obviously he's got to grow into that. He's going to grow into his size. 6'4", 190 is pretty wiry for how tall he is. 100%. So he's going to definitely have to put on some pounds. But I just think the potential of him with his skating ability and the wrist shot he has at that size, man, he stood out to me immediately.
Yeah, and I agree, and I think that's a great one. We're only going to hit one more, and it's going to be my favorite prospect behind Landon Linkovich, and that is Kenny Atkinson, and you are going to love this player, Sven. I know it already because half of his tape is scoring goals, big hits, and fighting people. 6'4", absolute unit. Look at him. He's got some skill to his game too. I mean, this guy is just popping off the tape when I was watching it yesterday. Like, look.
Oh, yeah.
Him and immediately drops the gloves.
Oh,
he's ready
yeah.
to go, dude. This guy's an absolute animal, bro. I swear. Like, all right, let's just watch the Superman punch. It's just this guy is absolutely nuts, and he literally plays like a psycho, and I love it. Like, talk about a guy who he low-key loses it, but it's up, dude. He was going for the Superman punch. It doesn't matter. He's still going at it too. He's not giving up, dude. It's actually crazy. This guy, and unlike a lot of the other defensemen in this draft, he shows the mobility when he has the puck on his stick. He's got some offensive upside. And, like, think about that as ASP's partner, man. Think about that guy roaming around protecting ASP, ripping 1-Ts from him, too, on the power play. Like we're talking about, we want to bring a defenseman in here to finish up this heavy decor we got going on. Like, this is who I want. I want a guy who's coming in, he's fighting. Like, I got to show this guy to D-Mac. D-Mac's going to cream his jeans when he sees Atkinson over here. But, yeah, I mean, super impressive. I want to go to a different part of his tape because I think earlier in the here we go. Look at the way he's able to skate the ice and get to the back door and be in the creative area, not give up on the play, join the rush. Like, that's stuff you like.
Good hands,
that's elite level.
Yeah, on that puck. That was a bad pass.
Look, and he fights a lot. This guy's such a dog, dude.
Dude, he's big.
Half his tape is literally
fighting. And I also like that. I don't mind going defense in the first round because you do got to rebuild that defense. Like, because, you know, Edmondson's here, Sider's here, ASP is going to be here, Johansson's here. We don't know what Wallander is yet, so you're going to need more defensive prospects too, for sure. So I like the kid. Not gonna say I don't like him. He's wearing 77 too. That's trippy.
Yeah, 1T, bang. Yeah, dude. I mean, this guy shows what you want to see. He's good defensively. He's physical. He can put the puck in the net. He's got like that shot's. The guy's got the deception and the shot on the pull fake. I just think there's so much to love with this kid. And if we're actually drafting this year, these two are the two guys who I desperately want. And you can take a second, you can take a third, you can take another first from next year if you have to. Move up for one of these dogs. Like, get someone who is NHL, like, more NHL ready than the rest. You don't want another developmental piece. You need someone who's here in the next 2 years when you're ready to compete in a playoff series and playing meaningful minutes. And these two guys are two guys I believe can do that.
Absolutely, I agree with you, brother.
All right, I'm gonna read 2 comments because I said I would from the last show, even though we low-key gotta go, but I said I would.
Hurry.
And Yzerman definitely needs speed. We lack it, and a good goalie. Jordan Binnington, baby. Come on.
Jordan Binnington, bring him in. Definitely needs speed.
Kopp and Mazur weren't the only two-way forwards. They had lots of them. Comfer, Rasmussen, Mott, Smith, even Kasper, Larkin, and Raymond would be considered two-way forwards. Comfer is Mott sucks, Smith sucks, Kasper's developing into it, Raymond's developing into it. And so is Mazur. But Mazur is the one I expect to take the biggest jump in the next year of being a defensive two-way.
Yeah, Mazur played 3 minutes. Smith and Mott, get out of here with that shit. Come on. We're talking about guys that are actually going to play in games. Kasper, I believe, can be a good two-way forward. Raymond showed the physicality up, but he doesn't have the real size to be that. And I don't want Raymond getting his fucking nose dirty. I want him scoring goals. So, Mott and Smith, come on, man.
Last question from Georgie Baggio. Montreal and Ottawa out of the playoffs would have the Wings being out and at cost of the future success. $22 million in cap space. Plenty of room for Marner. New York Rangers rebuild could be interesting. Kosa, Berggren for Shesterkin. You're going to have to give up more than that, I guarantee you.
You're going to have to give up way more.
It's going to be Kosa, a first-round pick.
Kasper.
I don't know if it's going to take Kasper. And another elite level prospect like Danielson or
Kasper.
Yeah, probably Casper. That's
That's
one
who
that's going to
that's
take
who
Casper.
everybody's going to ask for. If
And
you want Shesterkin, if you want one of these guys, they're going to ask for Casper.
yeah, no doubt. And there's also Swayman out there after he didn't have a great year. Boston might explore that. That might be another option, but I don't know if I'm willing to do that after his shaky season. But that's going to do it for Woodward Wings. We had a lot that we covered in this episode. Hopefully you enjoyed it. It's one of my favorite episodes, honestly, dealing with all the graphics and the videos. It was pretty fun. I enjoyed it. Thank you so much for joining me, Spendy. Spendy will be joining us more in the future as well. We are excited to have him a part of Woodward Wings. But we will catch you in the next one. And have a great day. Peace.